Welcome to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I am your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Good to be here again, another week.
Monday. Monday. And we've got a good show.
We do.
Break people into the week. We're going to talk about a cabinet member, and we've got not one, but two.
Two different guests,
Yeah,
legislators.
we've got state representatives talking about specific bills, and we are going to come around and discuss a bill today that I think is going to make you go crazy when you hear about it. It will make you go crazy.
That's what you call a tease, people. Well done.
All right, so we are doing Meet the Cabinet.
Right.
And so far we just had Jen Psaki, right?
I think we've done two.
We
I
did?
think we did Jen Psaki, and then we did this. Oh, maybe it was. It says Meet the Cabinet 3, so I thought we already did another one too. Maybe not.
I don't think so, but okay. What we are doing, folks, is taking you through Biden's cabinet, introducing you to the individual cabinet members, a little bit of background, what to expect. And so let's go ahead and start.
Okay.
Tonight we have
Secretary of State Antony Blinken. And this is a picture of Antony J. Blinken. He's a very interesting fellow. His biography reads very interestingly. He started school in New York City and then went to high school in Paris. Well, that'll tell you something right there about maybe what his dad did.
Oui.
Yes, indeed, and graduated from Harvard College, magna cum laude in 1984, majored in social studies, graduated then from Columbia Law School in 1988. Interestingly, he's 58 years old, but he is turning 59 this Friday.
I see.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that I think is going to be good to do is to break down what their private sector experience is.
Right, versus...
Because I think we're going to see a pattern.
A little thin, maybe.
What the private sector experience is, and then kind of what those like quasi-governmental or non-governmental, but it's really governmental, and then their actual government jobs. So, Antony had very, very limited private sector experience. He was a lawyer briefly, and he did work for a few publications as a reporter. For the New Republic.
Right.
He also wrote some stuff for New York Times and Foreign Affairs.
Wrote a book also a little later on.
Yeah, so that's really about it. Then if we move to the next category of quasi-governmental, is it governmental or not? This is very interesting. He co-founded West Exec Advisors.
Right.
He did that in 2017. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But he founded this organization with other Obama era executives or officials, and it's a consulting firm that says it is a, quote, diverse group of senior national security professionals with the most recent experience at the highest levels of U.S. government.
That should tell you all you need to know right there.
Right.
It speaks for itself.
When we move on to government experience, he's got a bunch.
Yes, of course.
He's got a bunch. He worked with Dukakis back in '98 for his campaign. He worked with Clinton.
In 88, yep.
Yes, did I say 98?
That's
88.
Right. No worries.
1988. And that's early, considering that he's only going to turn, what did you say, 58?
He's turning 59.
59,
yeah. 59, so.
Special assistant to the assistant of Secretary of State. That was with Clinton back in '93. He continued. He was a speechwriter for Clinton.
I saw that too. That was very interesting to me too.
Right. Worked for the National Security Council staff. It's Clinton.
Right.
He was put on the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Very, very high-level job. And then you get to the Obama administration. And
he was a foreign policy advisor for Joe Biden's unsuccessful,
really blooms.
Yes. his unsuccessful 2008 presidential campaign.
For Biden.
Yes, for Biden. And then assistant to the president and principal deputy national security advisor from 2013 to 2015 as well, and chaired the Interagency Deputies Committee, and then was deputy secretary of state from 2015 to 2017. And he appeared frequently, of course, on cable news shows and on behalf of the Obama administration. So he went from fundraising for Dukakis all the way through Clinton, then worked for Biden, and then Obama administration.
Yep.
High-level jobs.
Now, I want to fast forward because we've just laid out what his private versus government experience is. In December of 2018, he and his wife bought a $4.325 million mansion.
Yes.
His wife is also working for the government. So a couple of bureaucrats, and they've got their $4.5 million house. I just wanted to point that out.
Well, interestingly, when I was looking at her bio too.
Yes.
She not only worked for Clinton, but she worked for the Clinton Global Initiative in 2005, and that's the one where all the money disappeared. So the fact that they're
Right.
buying a $4.325 million house doesn't surprise me so much because a lot of money was just poof, missing.
Yeah, and it's very interesting.
It is interesting.
So Antony has a fair amount of experience that we can, and involvement that we can say, okay, he stood for this, he was a proponent of that, opposed this and that. And that gives us a clear idea of the kind of person he is and what he will be doing in the Biden administration. So when he was in the Obama administration, he helped create U.S. policy on Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the nuclear program of Iran. Now we know the situation with that deal. It was a sweetheart deal for Iran. Trump undid it. But this guy was very much involved, was a strong proponent of it, really went after Trump for dismantling that,
Right.
because believed that was the way.
He was also interesting in that he criticized persecution of Muslims in Myanmar and then warned Myanmar's leaders about the danger of anti-Muslim legislation. And there's no word anywhere about him saying anything about persecution of Christians. It's just the Muslims. I thought that was very interesting and telling.
Now, I mean, I will hand it to him, and he should be opposed to the persecution of Muslims in
anyone.
Myanmar. And he has been opposed to the persecution of the Muslims in China as well. But you're right, it seems like it's a little bit
disconnected.
Yeah. He supported the military intervention in Libya and the supply of weapons to the Syrian rebels, which at that time, of course, involved some groups associated with ISIS. Very, very interesting thing there.
Yeah, he's got his fingers in a lot of these really interesting things. And then, of course, as you mentioned, he and a bunch of other people, their names are Michelle Flournoy, Sergio Aguirre, and Nitin Chadha, all members of the Obama administration. They founded this West Exec Advisors in 2017. And this is a great. Flournoy described West Exec's role as facilitating relationships between Silicon Valley firms and the Department of Defense and law enforcement.
Yep. These guys get so rich when they find their niche to work with government agencies. And then he went on and worked with other partners to develop a private equity firm called Pine Island Capital Partners. And they chose their various partners because of their access.
Right.
And their networking and their
Lots
expertise.
of access for this guy. He's fluent in French, obviously, and he was confirmed by a vote of 78 to 22. That's not very close.
No. Well, you know. But back to that West Exec and the Pine. In December of this last year, New York Times article came out and said, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff here that we should be looking at. Potential conflicts of interest. And I think that we should continue. I mean, this guy obviously got rich, and he's continuing to get richer off of this inside networking he has in the high levels of government, and it's only higher now.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Wow.
I did see one little article that was on Fox News just yesterday, published yesterday about him, and it says, the title of it is, Blinken admits COVID-19 got out of hand faster because of China. So that's interesting that he would even say the word China.
Interesting.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with Representative Vicky Steiner in just a few minutes. Hang with us.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
Hey Bucks fans, if you're planning an outing, birthday, or employee appreciation night, then bring your group out to the Buck Stop for a night of fast-paced, high-scoring football. Your group will receive discounted tickets, options for reserved seating, scoreboard messages, VIP services, swag, and a space to gather during the game. You can also participate in pre-game ceremonies, halftime entertainment, in-game contests, and more. Call 701-595-0771 or visit bismarckbucks.com/tickets. All GA is first come, first serve. We'll see you on the turf. Go Bucks!
Hey, we're back. It's No Apologies on Beck, and we are going to go to Brain Food, and we're going to bring you the wonderful Representative Vicky Steiner at our next segment in about 10 minutes. So let's hit the brain food.
Well, I like doing brain food, but this word is a weird one, and it came up in conversation. My folks are leaving Texas, and they were talking about, you know, winterizing their home and getting ready to leave. Actually, not even winterizing. It's just the opposite. It's a summerizing, I guess. No, that's not a word. Anyway, they were getting it ready to leave Texas, and they wanted to make sure there wasn't a lot of moisture in their home while they were gone. And so there are a lot of things that they apparently do in South Texas in the Rio Grande Valley before they leave. And this word came up, and my father used it, and he goes, that would be a good brain food word. And I'm like, yeah, it probably would. So see if you guys have ever seen this word before. This word is desiccant. Have you heard of this word before?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you used a desiccant before?
Yes.
You have.
Many times in the camera equipment, in my drone little box, yeah.
All sorts of different things for desiccant, and there's very little about this word. It is a noun. The definition is a drying agent, such as calcium chloride. Examples of desiccant in a sentence would be dry goods and some other foods can be safely stored for a long time in a variety of containers when packaged with the appropriate desiccant or oxygen absorbers. Or dry goods and some other foods can be safely stored for a long time in a variety of containers when packaged with the appropriate desiccant or oxygen absorbers. It can also be an adjective, I learned, which means tending to dry or desiccate. The first known use of desiccant was in 1676, desiccant.
Interesting.
So you can use charcoal as a desiccant to suck up the moisture, and very many different kinds of desiccants. And we have them all at the hardware store. I'm very familiar with those too. If you have any type of mold or moisture that you want to get rid of, we have those. So I knew what that was. All right.
All right. You advised me that tomorrow is Thomas Jefferson Day?
It is National Thomas Jefferson Day tomorrow.
So I made mine about Thomas Jefferson.
Oh,
so
excellent.
Pull up the first one, and sticking with the
macabre?
Not moribund, yeah, macabre. Sticking with the macabre theme. So Thomas Jefferson, I find his death fascinating for a couple of reasons. Number one, he died on the 4th of July, and he died 50 years to the day after signing the Declaration of Independence, which he wrote.
Crazy.
And so that alone,
that's a weird picture
that
too,
alone
by the
is.
way.
Well, there was a bunch of people at his deathbed. He was sick for quite a while, and then it's interesting. There's discussion about what his last words were, And it so happens that John Adams, the second president,
Right.
died on the same day.
I knew that.
And so Thomas Jefferson was aware. He was very, very sick on the 3rd, and so he kind of came around and said, "Is it the 4th?" And they're like, "It will be soon." And then he kind of went out, and he came back again at 9 p.m., and they gave him like laudanum, which would be
Right.
like morphine or something.
right.
He dozed out. He ended up hanging on until just short of 1 o'clock the next day when he finally died. However, his last words were spoken to his servants. And there's no idea what his last words actually were. People like to say that, "Is it the 4th?" Because that's more romantic, I
Right,
guess.
right.
But the people in the room, it was the husband of his granddaughter, it was a grandson, and it was his doctor. And they all say he was very much concerned about whether it was the 4th or not. And he did
wanted
end
to
up
make sure
pushing
that
it.
he did not die on the 3rd of July, but
That's
the 4th
right.
of July. Oh, how
That's
interesting.
right. Yes. And Adams' last words are reported to be, "Jefferson lives." But Adams was wrong because Jefferson had died 5 hours earlier.
They
Yeah.
didn't have the internet to tell them that.
They did not. I don't believe so.
Very interesting stuff. Well, it is his birthday coming up tomorrow, so that is the celebration nationally of Thomas Jefferson. So, okay, my next word is the word ardent, and I have used this many, many times in speaking because I consider myself an ardent defender of Second Amendment rights and the Constitution. But definition of the word ardent, it's an adjective characterized by warmth of feeling, typically expressed in eager, zealous support or activity. Say you are an ardent proponent of a bill, an ardent admirer, or an ardent fans. It actually comes from fiery and hot, ardent, shining, glowing, ardent eyes. Synonyms include impassioned, passionate, fervent, impassioned, passionate, ardent, fervent. The first known use of the word ardent was in the 14th century, and it comes, I think, from Middle English ardent or ardent, burning, fiery, passionate, borrowed from Middle French ardent, going back to Old French, borrowed from Latin ardent, meaning burning, fiercely hot, shining, eager, passionate. From present participle of ardere, to burn, emit light or flame, to be fiercely hot. It's also slightly a derivative of ardus or arid, dry, waterless, which kind of goes back to
your
desiccant.
desiccant. All right. So my next one is a picture of Thomas Jefferson from his doctor. Go ahead and pull that up very briefly. And there you've got that little red circle is his prostate. So the prostate wraps around the urethra as it exits the bladder.
Right.
And so men get prostatic hypertrophy, which then closes off, and that's why old guys take a long time to go to the bathroom.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
But here's the thing. So Thomas Jefferson died, and I always think, of things very, as I mentioned, romantically. But it turns out that he was having some difficulties. He was having some major diarrhea and urination problems. Now, the diarrhea probably came because he had a boil on his butt cheek, which was significantly infected. It may have caused him to become a little bit septic, but in the treatment for the boil, they put in sulfur and mercury. Mercury probably gave him a mild episode of mercury poisoning, which caused him to have severe diarrhea. But the problem with the urination was most likely from prostatic hypertrophy, which was probably from prostate cancer, which was closing in. He couldn't pee because it was closed off. So what they did is they shoved in a bougie, it's called, a dilator, a bougie through his penis to push open the prostate so he could pee. But they also didn't do it with clean techniques.
Oh, right.
They didn't use hygiene.
So he was definitely septic.
They put in bacteria. He very likely had a kidney infection. With all of those things, our poor third president
Poor man.
died.
Oh, that was pretty hideous. Thank
Yeah.
you for that. That was delightful.
All right, that's it for Brain Food. Next up, we are going to be talking with Representative Vicky Steiner.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
Thank you for your patience and understanding.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that the most condescending, rude email you've ever received?
Well, welcome to
National
the third term of a certain president. I really believe that.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
All right, we're back. It's No Apologies, and this is your After Hours Oasis of Sanity. We have Representative Vicky Steiner. Vicky, I apologize. Our chairs are still just as low as they were the last time you were here.
Did you say something to him after you were here last time?
I told him he needed to get closer. The cameras need to be closer.
Oh, that too. But I thought you said raise the chairs.
Because the people are so far away when you're sitting in your living room watching it.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't even think of that.
Bring it in, guys.
We want to see a closer, closer.
What if I have a blemish?
That's all right.
This is a little more forgiving this
There's
way.
no apologies for the blemish.
That's right. She's good. Well
okay, Vicky, we are going to talk about Senate Bill 2139.
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
And this I am fascinated with. If you can give our viewers just a very brief bit of the background, because the way it is now, it didn't start that way, but why is it the way it is now? Go.
Okay, 2139 started out as a Renaissance zone that was for housing, and part of it, and it's just been completely changed, and they call that a hog house in our legislative political world, which means we took everything out because it's a tax bill, but we can put something else with tax in there. And the chairman and the committee, we feel that we need to do something about reducing taxes for the taxpayer this session. So we took that bill, which we knew was probably going to be defeated, and we hog-housed it into an income tax reduction bill. And it's set up so that if there happens to be, there's some conditions, but if there is excess money in the ending fund balance, then the tax commissioner can certify by November that there's up to 150 million cap of excess in the ending fund balance. And then by that April, then that certified It's prorated down, so the income tax rates come down prorated to that up to 150 million. Doesn't have to be 150 million, but that's the cap. It can't be more than that. And then the taxpayer that next year, the second year of the biennium, would get that tax reduction, and it's a permanent tax reduction. So right now, we're expecting about 800 million to come in on income or individual income tax, and then another 400 million for corporate. And so those rates would come down, and approximately about 10% or so would be permanently gone. And what's interesting is there's about 8 states that have no income tax, as you know, and they have found that that really stimulates entrepreneurs and business, and it's been good for those states. And so there's 9 other states now, since we looked at eliminating income tax last session, but of course you get the argument from some people who live, I don't want to say live in the past, but that's what comes out of my mouth. But let's just say the 3-legged stool, which they say is so sacred to North Dakota. But a lot of states are standing up on 2 legs. So you can't make the argument that you'd fall over if you didn't have income tax. But I thought it was really interesting. We started our income tax in 1919. So part of it is historical comfort, let's just call it. Because you've always had it, and people think, well, if it goes away, everything's going to fall apart. So anyway, long story short, over time, we would eliminate the income tax, but we found out last session that if you go to eliminate it, there's a lot of people who say, I don't mind reducing it, but I'm afraid to eliminate it. Now, and I wanted to make another point about, you know, over time, they could always adjust the statute so they wouldn't have to eliminate it if they found it too fearful. But at least you could release, at least if you could release $400 to $500 million that the state would not collect. The REMI, which is some kind of fancy name for a software program that the Bank of North Dakota does, they ran that, and the state actually sees more revenue come in when people are released from that tax burden. And the last time we ran it, it was 400 million, but I would guess it's probably more like 500 million now. But anyway, so it's exciting to think that we could do away with something, and then people would have more freedom to, you know, generate their own wealth and their own business ideas without that burden.
Yep, and that's exactly what we're supposed to be about as Republicans.
Yeah.
And you know, you're talking about, in essence, the Laffer curve, Art Laffer, who worked with Reagan. The idea, if you cut taxes, the government actually brings in more because there's so much more going on with the economy.
Right.
I'm gonna paraphrase or summarize a little bit of what you said. We have a graphic. Let's bring it up very briefly. This is the bill, and so there's a new fund, and it's the Income Tax Rate Reduction Fund. And basically, what we're looking at, Vicki, is when we have excess monies, those monies can be applied to buy down the income tax rate.
Right.
Once that rate is bought down, that's permanent, right? And then the next biennium, if there's excess, it buys it down further and further.
But there's
until we
also,
get
I
to a
forgot to
zero.
bring up the caveat that it has to be anything over the ending fund balance of 65 million.
Yep.
But also, too, we have what's called the Budget Stabilization Fund, another one of our buckets, and that's 15% of the general fund, which is 785 million. That bucket is full, so we don't have to fill that bucket going forward. So that's why we could possibly see tax reduction right away. But let's say, for example, everything went spinning downward, and we needed to take the 785 million out of the budget stabilization next time to make things whole. We'd have to build that back up, and then you'd have to pass the ending fund balance of 65 million before you could get up to 150 million in tax reduction. And the reason it works that it's capped is to give those people who don't want to eliminate the income tax some kind of comfort that we'll get 10% reduction, let's say, but we're not going to eliminate it, which is just really frightening for some people for some reason.
Why is that?
Democrats don't want to eliminate it, right?
Why
is that right?
There's a lot of Republicans don't want to eliminate it either.
Okay, so again, what it comes down to is we have a budget stabilization fund. That's our backup in case we get into trouble.
Correct.
Once that fund is completely full, and we allow ourselves an ending balance, meaning excess money just hanging there of, did you say 65 million?
Right.
Any money we have left over after that huge fund is full, after the 65 million is just sitting there, we can apply to income tax reduction.
In that bucket you showed.
Who in their right mind can be opposed to that and still call themselves a Republican? That's what I want to know.
Well, there's a concern that, a lot of times that, like appropriations people always have to go find money if we fall short. And it's really difficult, like to cut state employees. It's hard to cut full-time FTEs or full-time employees. It's hard to cut human services, behavioral health, all the things that really do wonderful things in people's lives. There's a lot of difficult things that it's hard to cut. So their thing is we'd rather have the money available.
Not if you're a conservative.
And then
No.
it's easier for them. Well, and we have an appropriator coming on next. And anyway, when you meet an appropriator, you can ask him why Appropriations Committee kind of likes to kind of shore up the money. But I think it's hard for them to make cuts. So and we might get some pushback on this because it's a permanent rate reduction.
Amen.
That's a great thing.
Amen.
And a lot of them won't like that. They're not going to like it. They're going to
Yay.
say, well, can we get it back? And
What?
eventually we go to zero under this plan.
That's fantastic.
But I would really at least like to get to a point where the state suddenly sees people have enough money to, have some freedom and invest.
So, all right, Senate Bill 2139. Folks, I want you to pay attention to this because last session we had a record budget, This session, we are going to beat that record budget by possibly as much as $1 billion on top of the $1 billion we're going to get in COVID funding. And if the Republican supermajority can't give you some tax relief, you need to find some new legislators. Watch it, 2139.
That's right.
Representative Steiner, thank you for being
so
with
much for
us.
coming.
Pleasure
Thank you.
as always.
It's fun. Thank you.
It's always fun. Folks, hang with us. Representative Larry Bellew is with us next.
We're the ladies of Another View, bringing you a fresh view on local issues.
And different perspectives you won't get on the mainstream media. Watch us weekday afternoons at 4:30 Central Time on Beck News and at beck.news.
Watch No Filter with me, Debbie Schlussel, for no-nonsense, unfiltered analysis of the news that matters to you. You'll see engaging guests,
It began a 444-day nightmare.
entertaining analysis, and it has everything to do with something that happened in history, and honest movie reviews. Trust me, this is just atrocious. No Filter with Debbie, weeknights at 10 p.m. Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go. We deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
All right, we're back. It's No Apologies, and we are now with Representative Larry Bellew. Larry, welcome.
Thank you very much.
I am
38 in Minot.
Yes, District 38.
Yep, and long-time good conservative, and I'm happy that you are still with us. I don't mean living. I mean, I think that you made some decisions on whether you want to continue, and I'm very happy that you are still in the legislature.
Thank you very much.
So you witnessed me ranting just a tiny bit. I'm going to keep my calm for your whole segment here, okay?
Thank you.
We are going to talk about House Bill 1129. Let's pop it up first here. And this is a bill. Well, Larry, why don't you go ahead. In brief, how would you summarize this bill?
What this bill would do in 4 years' time would eliminate state income tax on all your Social Security, the money you receive in Social Security payments.
That's pretty straightforward.
Or state income tax now only.
Yeah, that's all we can control.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so this seems like a nice little bill. So for folks that are retired and are living on Social Security, the state government wouldn't tax their Social Security benefits.
That is correct.
That's great. It passed in the House, 92 to 1.
That's
wow,
correct.
that's a pretty good mandate.
And then it went over to the Senate.
Right, it went
and
over
then
to
they
the Senate.
passed it.
No.
They didn't pass it.
They killed it.
Well, wait a minute. Why they didn't pass it?
It came out of their committee, the Finance and Tax Committee, with a 7-0 do recommend to pass. They sent it to Appropriations. Appropriations voted 10-4 do not pass. Then they took it to the floor of the Senate, and it died on the Senate floor 21-26.
21 to 26. No. So 26 senators voted that they wanted to continue to give a state income tax on people's Social Security benefits.
That is correct.
I see. How many Democrat senators are there? Do you know?
10. No, I'm sorry. Seven.
Seven.
That's right, seven. You're right, 7.
That's fascinating.
Right.
All right.
And I think there was only one Democrat senator that voted for it.
Okay. And I see here it would have cost $5.5 million.
Whenever you give a tax break, it doesn't cost. It reduces income, but it doesn't
Larry,
cost.
God bless you for saying that.
That's so
and
true.
I can't believe that I'm using the lexicon of big government people, and I did it there. Thanks for correcting me. It would have reduced the money we take from taxpayers
exactly
by $5.5 million.
Right. This biennium and the next biennium, it would have taken away another $9.5 million.
Okay.
From the general fund. So
I'm not just being silly.
I know.
It's important to keep people, just like we say, don't say investment, we're just spending.
Right, exactly.
And it's not costing anybody when you don't tax them, it's allowing them to keep their money. So thank you.
Words mean things. It's important to get the language straight. You've got it, Larry. Good
Thank
for
you.
What else have you got there?
Well, one of my big things is I'm a strong proponent of eliminating the state income tax. But this is a big deal to me because, seniors have already paid taxes on their Social Security tax.
Right.
So to me,
Double
this is a
dipping.
double tax.
Yeah, it is.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Of course, the feds did this in 1984, and so North Dakota we follow the federal tax laws.
Right.
We have to tax our citizens too. Right now, there are only 13 states in the union that tax Social Security or for state income tax. And we are one of them.
So North Dakota, Dakota.
That is so not right.
North Dakota, who takes in more state revenue from taxing than any other state in the nation, in the Senate, they could not find within their hearts to say, we're not going to double tax the people living on Social Security. Is that what you're telling me, Larry?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. It's true.
I don't know about you, but I'm going to go look at
Believable.
that listing.
And,
that voted
Unbelievable.
how. I'm going to be looking at that. I'm going to be looking at that vote total.
And as far as I know, Lori and Rick, this was the last bill before Vicky had her bill that was alive to to reduce taxes in the state. And the Senate said no. And we're on track as of last Thursday, just so the viewers know, we're on track to increase spending by $780 million over last biennium.
And last biennium was a record.
Yes, and now this one, we're on track as of last Thursday to spend $15.4 billion in our 2-year budget.
Not including the CARES and
Not
COVID
including
money,
CARES or
which
the
is
COVID
on
funds.
the order of $1 billion, correct?
The new COVID money, we're scheduled to get $1.2 billion. So.
I don't know, folks. What do you do? I mean, what do you do?
That's so frustrating.
We do have a couple options left. We could try to attach it to a bill. I've talked with the House Finance and Tax Chairman to try to get it on the bill Vicky was talking about. And he hasn't committed to that yet, but he showed some interest in it. And there's also in conference committees, we are probably going to try to attach maybe to the tax commissioner's budget or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we'll be able to do it, but we got to try.
So what is the public's recourse on this one? What do you suggest? I mean, if you just throw up your hands and say, all right, it went to die in the Senate again. All good bills go to the Senate to die.
Another thing that the viewers need to know, and maybe you don't know this either, but because this is not an appropriations bill, it should not have went to the Appropriations Committee. It does not have to go to the Appropriations Committee. Only appropriation bills, according to the Senate rules and the House rules, have to go to the Appropriations
So
Committee.
had it not gone to the Appropriation Committee and gotten that, what was it, 10-4, did you say? Or
The Appropriations voted 10-4, do not pass. The Policy Committee voted 7-0, do pass.
Do pass. 7-0.
Right.
Wow.
So,
So I think we found our problem.
Wait till I tie in this amount to the next segment.
Right.
Wait until you hear, folks. So I mean, basically what we are doing, ladies and gentlemen, is giving you information. Representative Bellew, Representative Steiner are kind enough to come in. We've had so many others that have come in to help inform you so that you are an informed electorate, an informed voter. Now the question is, what do you do with that information? We have a supermajority of Republicans in the House and in the Senate, but we're talking about the inability to not double tax people who are retired, not to double tax their Social Security benefits. We're talking about the inability to pass a plan in which we can significantly reduce, possibly bring to zero, like 8 other states, the income tax. But we're so busy trying to spend. And I know you're frustrated too, aren't you?
One of the frustrations with me is, in our party platform, the Republican Party platform, it says lower taxes. I think that's either number 3 or number 4 on the party platform.
Right.
And
The supermajority is what, 80-14?
Exactly, in the
and
House.
40-7 in the
correct.
Senate,
That's
mind
correct.
you. Republican to Democrat. This is unconscionable. It's unbelievable. I'm so disappointed.
I just don't know.
Nobody.
But see, the thing is that everyone, I won't even get into it tonight, but what does conservative mean? What does it mean?
Right.
Everyone's a conservative. But yet we can't pass basic.
And I don't really understand. I'm still going back to Vicky Steiner talking about the fear of being able to let people be more entrepreneurial and spend their own money. I don't really understand the fear of that yet. I have to work through that.
I don't understand that either. So.
Well, all right, Larry, thank you so much for being with us. I
having me.
am so sorry to hear about
Thank you,
1129 dying.
For listening to me vent a little bit, because I'm very disappointed that it failed.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm hoping maybe it'll
it
still
can be
get on.
resurrected. You never know.
I don't know.
hope
All
so.
right. Thanks for being here. Folks, stick with us for one more segment. It's a doozy, especially when you consider the last 2 segments we've presented to you. Hang with us.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to pull them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
All right, we're back. It's No Apologies on Beck. I'm still Rick, you're still Lori.
Yep, still.
And we're still freaked out that we can't
Still.
get good tax relief
Just
in the state.
Astounded. It's
Yep.
just astounding. I'm flabbergasted that keeps happening.
Yep. All right, so folks, in the last 2 segments, you heard about a couple of bills, one of which is still possibly alive, and that would, with extra money that's left over and not needed for rainy day funds or anything else, it's just sitting
Surplus?
there, would be used to buy down income tax, and if it worked right, eventually take us down to 0 income tax, which 8 other states already have. And the other one was a disappointment. As you heard, it was a bill which would make it so that our state would be one of the majority of states which no longer would tax Social Security income for people who are living on Social Security. But that died in the Senate. So keep in mind that the one was just extra money laying around. The other one would have cost about $7.5 million.
But help the people who need it the most.
Right, in this current next 2 years, and then $14.5 million the next years, right? Yeah. So that's how much these types of things would have cost. Now, keep that in mind, and we'll go forward to Senate Bill 2004. Pull up the graphic, if you would, here. 2004 is the appropriations bill for the health department. Okay, it's a biggie. And there are many, many sections to it, but the section that I'm bringing up for you right there is Section 3, COVID-19 Borrowing Authority and Appropriation for that. And it says, the State Department of Health, subject to the approval of the Emergency Commission, may borrow up to $25 million from the Bank of North Dakota for the purposes of responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency, for testing, contact tracing, and other costs related to responding and mitigating COVID-19 for the biennium beginning July 1st, 2021, ending June 30th, 2023, 2 years later. So, what we're looking at there then is, number one, again, we are flush with money. We're going to have a record budget. And this is a section in a bill which allows borrowing of money, which would be paid back most likely, and it says in there, if the health department's not able to pay it back, I don't know how they would, that the next legislative session would pay for it, which means that you, the taxpayer, would pay for it out of the monies that the next legislative session would use. And it's in the amount of $25 million. Once again, it is for things like contact tracing and expanded testing. So I got up and I spoke on it today on the floor, and we're going to play that clip. It's a short one. Mr. Speaker, members of the Assembly, I object to Section 3, allowing the Department of Health to borrow $25 million to continue to do expansive testing and contact tracing. I will tell you that the state has already wasted millions and millions of dollars to test healthy people who are asymptomatic and were not exposed. And we've wasted millions and millions of dollars for a contact tracing system. Contact tracing is a policy which was designed not for a pandemic, but for an epidemic, and not for a disease which is transmitted by an aerosol, but transmitted by direct contact. This has been a tremendous waste of money, and that is borne out by the fact that the course of this disease throughout our state was not changed by the contact tracing. All of those innumerable man-hours with the National Guard burning the candle on both ends, nothing changed. The situation was that people were spitballing, doing whatever they could. We now know that it didn't help. And the idea that we're going to say, yeah, let's continue doing this, we're going to let you borrow, and we're going to let the next legislative assembly pay your $25 million debt, that's insanity. That is insanity. I understand that there's fear and we want to get a handle on COVID, but to continue to do the things we know didn't work is beyond me. So I'm going to vote red for that particular reason. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what I said there, absolute truth. Contact tracing, not designed for it. It didn't do anything. I talked with at the outset of COVID, talked with the director of the health department and said, what you're doing is a waste of time. And that has borne out to be true. If you take a look at when contact tracing was done, at the height of our increased caseload, when it was the worst, we stopped contact tracing.
Right, exactly.
We stopped it.
Yes.
So if it actually helped, that would have been the time we needed it most. We didn't even employ contact tracing. It was the first thing to go when we ran short of manpower. It makes no sense whatsoever. I want to pull up another graphic. This is a small one, but I will explain it to you. You will see on the left side 2 red arrows. The top red arrow points to North Dakota. The bottom red arrow points to South Dakota. These are testing totals, okay? The total number of people per 100,000, okay? So this is rated according to someone's population. And you'll see in the green are the total number of people tested per 100,000. You'll see the little N tag there. That's the total number of positive cases per 100,000 people in the state. North Dakota is the upper arrow. We tested the crap out of people. South Dakota is that bottom red arrow. They didn't do as much testing. But if you look at the positives per 100,000, South Dakota's is roughly the same as North Dakota's.
Yep. The top one is Rhode Island, then followed by Massachusetts, Alaska, New York, Vermont, Connecticut, District of Columbia, and then North Dakota up on the top there. And if you look at that little yellow, he's exactly right. If you look at that little yellow and use your finger to look at it, it's the exact same length. It's the almost identical.
Well, I think they're each on the order of about 13,000 per 100,000. And so the thing is that what people like the governor will claim is like, well, South Dakota didn't do as much testing, so they aren't recognizing as many positives. If that were the case, their number of positives relative to their testing would be so much higher. That's not the case. So what we see is that nothing changed. South Dakota's spike in cases was roughly almost exactly the same time as North Dakota's, despite far less testing. Their case dropped. The incidence of positives dropped just like North Dakota's, despite the fact that they weren't doing all of that testing. We did all of that. The proof is there, the facts are there, the science is there. It didn't help.
Yep. South Dakota's 12th from the bottom. They did include Puerto Rico and DC in these as well, so you've got a couple of extra than 50. But yeah, it's so obvious.
And yet we are going to say, yeah, it's worth. We know it didn't work. If we have a brain in our noggin, we know it didn't work, but we're cool with the health department borrowing $25 million to do the same crap that didn't work over the last year, and then we'll let the next legislature pay for it. $25 million, but we can't give people income tax relief?
Yeah, it is. It's a travesty.
I am at a loss. I'm at a loss. If you guys aren't pissed off, then I guess you've got the wrong channel. Because I don't get it. I don't get it, man.
Yeah, it is. This is just as plain as day. You can see the difference in testing, but not the difference in confirmed cases, and it's maddening.
No, there's no, and here's the thing.
It's not science. I don't know what it is.
One of the things, it has never been proper to do contact tracing with COVID. Never. Not even from the beginning when we didn't have all the answers. Every answer we've gotten since that time has reinforced the idea that contact tracing wasn't the proper technique to use for COVID. They've now proven that it's almost impossible to catch on a surface, where they call it fomite transmission.
It's aerosolized.
It's only aerosolized. What a waste of money. Yeah. What a waste of money.
Tremendous.
And the misguidance on having that section in there is unbelievable.
Tomorrow we're going to do some interesting stuff on the show. We're going to compare Chile to the United States, and we are going to be hosting one Jeff Simon on the program as well. Do not miss this tomorrow.
I love Chile. Next is No Filter with Debbie. Hang with us.